What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 29 of the RUDIS Wrestling Podcast, brought to you, of course, by RUDIS. Matt, we said we were going to pick up with the Ohio State Michigan duel. I'm excited to talk about this. I think it's an awesome duel. And just from top to bottom, the whole thing. And actually, my brother took a group of our AWA wrestlers down there to see it, and they said it was just totally awesome.
What did Max think about the environment? I know they were in the shot for this match.
No, they said it was great. I mean, it was. I thought they said only 7,500 in attendance. I thought it looked more full on TV than that even. But not that that's a bad crowd or anything. But I just when I was looking at it, I thought it was it was like 10 or 12,000. But they said it was an awesome experience for the kids, and they just thought it was great.
Good. Yeah, and the duel itself lived up to its billing. I think arguably it's probably the best, if not one of the best duel meets of the year. So yeah,
I'll go duel of the year.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. So let's start out with, hey, and we haven't got to talk about this because I think I texted you, but you were in China. So I think our last podcast before you went to China, we discussed the positives and negatives of pulling Malik Heinselman. And man, it's he started off with a decent win against Indiana kid. What's his name, man? I'm blanking. He's decent NCAA qualifier. But since then, Malik's had a rough go at it. He got his butt kicked by Rayvon. Now in this duel, he didn't look terrible. He didn't look that bad, but he did lose to Drew Mattin, who is Drew Mattin's not a top 5 guy. He's a guy that you could see All-American probably, but not. I wouldn't guarantee it by any.
Yeah, I think Mattin is hovering around right around 15. I think with Heinselman, I think probably the coaching staff probably knew he was going to go through some growing pains. I've been impressed with the way he's wrestling, not necessarily the outcomes he's getting. I kind of thought he might have some uneven performances and outcomes, but I think the effort's there, and that's, I think, as a coaching staff, and I don't want to speak for Tom Ryan and his staff, but they weren't really getting anything at all out of 125. And by that, I mean, they weren't getting the effort and the attitude that you want to see out of that position. And
this goes back to our first argument, though, man. It's like, I don't disagree with you at all in this statement, but it's like, was this the best time to pull him out? Is he an upgrade over what they had previously? Yes, 100%. I agree. But, that attitude and effort that you're talking about, would it be better if he had waited one more year? Is he going to be far above where he is right now? And I think that's the tough thing that you got to weigh.
Yeah, and I mean, that's always, when you're trying to project out, what's going to be the most beneficial things. It's one of those things where you don't really know enough, and so you just got to go with as much knowledge as you have, with as much information as you have, not only with the individual, but how it affects the team. And I kind of think it's going to be a positive move. I think it's going to prepare him better for the future. I think more so than possibly the remainder of a redshirt year. But yeah, I mean, remains to be seen. But I think he's going out there. I mean, he's definitely talented. I mean, he's showing glimpses of what he potentially could do in the future. And
I think I definitely agree that I think he can be really good in the future. I just thought it was early to pull him out. I'll agree with you that he's definitely an upgrade over what was there before. But just against Drew Mattin just shows that he's just not there against the best guys yet. And who knows? Listen, 2 months can provide a lot, right? He's got 2 months till the NCAAs essentially. He can make a big difference between now and then. So I guess we'll wait, and I will wait and say my assessment was totally correct until the NCAA tournament, because I could still be proven wrong.
Yeah, and I think the same conversation can be had at 125 for Michigan with Drew Mattin. He was put in the same position last year, and I think they decided, he's even more ready to go this year. So why redshirt him this year, especially with the team implications and a possible NCAA trophy on the line. I think in the situation of that, I think Drew Mattin is even more prepared this year for his experiences last year. So I don't know if that's a point of reference that we can point to.
Yeah.
Others could argue, well, it doesn't look like Mattin's in position. He's ranked, could he place? Yes. Is he a lock to
Yeah.
place? No. I mean, he's hovering around,
He's
mid
like 10,
15.
10 or 11. No, I think
Yeah.
he's higher than that. I want to say
Really?
he's 10 or 11.
Okay. Maybe a previous ranking.
I'm going to the rankings.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one he's 15.
Okay. All right.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah. So,
Damn, I thought he was higher than that. Okay.
yeah, I think he's, with the depth, from, 8 to 15, 16. I don't think there's a big separating point between those guys. So I think Mattin's right in there. And I think, Bourmet could probably talk to this a little bit more clearly, but I think Mattin's more prepared to contribute at a high level from the experience he had being pulled out of redshirt last year. So
Sure. Yeah, and so let's keep moving. How about Stevan Micic? Wow, that was I mean, I guess I would have said he's the favorite, but I would have never. If you just said it's gonna be a 13-point win, I would have said you're insane. Like I didn't see this coming. He looked like the best guy at 133 pounds. Everywhere, he just looked great. I mean,
it looked worse than 14-1, if that's possible.
He killed them, and Luke Pletcher is obviously very good.
And he doesn't give up points.
Close.
That's the thing.
Yes.
He doesn't give up points.
Yeah, it wasn't even remotely close. Yeah, Stevan Micic looked awesome. I don't even know if I had anything else to say about that besides, wow, he looked great.
I mean, I think I texted you after the match something to the extent of, I think, with all the depth at 133 and all the other people we've been talking about Roman Bravo Young at the beginning of the year. We've been talking about Suriano. We've been talking about Fix. We've been talking about DeSanto. And it looked to me like Micic was saying, hey, remember who's ranked number one. There's a reason I'm ranked number one, and I'm going to show you a reason why everybody's talking about 133 and the parity in 133. But I think he went out trying to make a statement, say, no, I'm the man here. This is my weight class.
Yeah.
I'm the guy everybody should be shooting for.
Yeah, and he sure looked like the man. There's no doubt about that. So, 41, I feel like Joey McKenna one-upped him. He hammered Techvald a number 6, Kanan Store?
5 or 6? Yep.
5 or 6 is a brutal. I mean, just whooped him everywhere. There's everywhere, like I said, Micic, as great as Micic looked, McKenna looked better. And that's what I'm eating my words on that one. You weren't on the podcast yet, but I said I thought he was didn't have the eye of the tiger anymore. And then ever since I said that, man, he's been proving me wrong. I've been looking like an idiot.
Oh, McKenna was tuning in.
I said he must have been, because last year going into the Penn State duel, I said I thought McKenna kind of had lost the eye of the tiger, that where you just got that aggressiveness and you're going out to win. And then after that, he's turned it on. And now Tommy texts me about once a week about it.
My takeaway, I was really impressed with McKenna. But my takeaway was Ohio State's captains knew what they needed to do. They knew what they had to do to put themselves in a position to win. Because on paper, people are saying, okay, Ohio State's ranked 2, Michigan's ranked 5. Ohio State's going to win this. But on paper, I really thought it was going to come down to 157, and I really thought, the duel kind of favored Michigan. And I think Ohio State probably sensed that too. They probably, you script things out and you lay out how you project the duel to go. But, what I took away from and what I was impressed was the captains for Ohio State, McKenna, Jordan, and Miles Martin. They all went out. They knew what they had to do for a team, for the team to put themselves, to at least give them a chance to win and to get 2 majors and a tech fall from your captains against your big rival, the team up north, as they referred to them here in Ohio. with all the rivalry on the line, with the rankings on the line. Um, I was impressed with the leadership of Ohio State's captains, that they went out. They knew a win wasn't just going to be enough in this dual meet. They had to go out and do something special. And, you know, McKenna, to your
Yeah.
point, McKenna answered the bell. Like, he said, okay, Micic, that's what you're bringing. I'm going to bring something better. And
Yep.
then, Micah on top of that said, okay, I'm going to answer that again and put out a dominant performance. And I think, on the flip side, on Michigan's standpoint, if you're looking at their three, stalwarts in their lineup, that's Micic, that's Pantaleo, that's Amin. I think they
I think
got
don't forget your man Logan Massa. I
and
think he's a
Massa.
beast.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
God,
Massa,
well, I don't want to. Let's stay in line here. Go to
okay.
Pantaleo. I don't want to jump to Massa, and we're going to get to them.
Yeah.
I don't want to skip, and then we'll get out of order. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but
finishing up,
I
anything more about McKenna? I mean, he just
no,
looked,
and
you couldn't look any better than he did. I mean, that was
agreed. And
really,
I
really
think
good.
I think you covered it with Micah Jordan and Malik Amin. Also, Jordan looked great. You're 100% right that the captains knew what they had to do. So I think you're right on both those. I think Pantaleo versus Hayes. Funny enough that Pantaleo is ranked below Keyshawn going into this week. I think just because of one bad performance where and he even said he was coming off was it mono or something crazy like that.
Something like
But
that.
Pantaleo is going to be a top 5 guy at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think that just all comes down to he's really good. Keyshawn just doesn't have the takedown skills to beat these top guys. He's good defensively. He's good on top and bottom, but he loses one takedown matches. And we've seen that 2 or 3 times now, I think.
And stylistically, I think for Hayes to have success, he's got to make sure he gets matched up with the right guys at the NCAA tournament, because the guys like Pantaleo, are just tough, rugged, powerful opponent. Those are the guys that give Hayes fits. I mean,
Yeah.
They don't allow him to create space. They don't give him an opportunity to move and utilize his athleticism. And I think guys like Pantaleo.
Well, honestly, like Pantaleo, man, I know he was ranked down at 10, but man, I could see him in the NCAA finals against Jason Nilf really easy.
For sure.
Like that wouldn't even be a surprise. So, yeah, I mean, I just feel like I think just because he had a few hiccups there, and had that sickness, and I think we saw that, and now I think he's had 2 or 3 good performances in a row. Let me just confirm that. I think he beat Griffin Perriott, who's highly ranked. Also, who else did he beat? Maybe he beat the Michigan guy, who's pretty solid. So, I mean, he's ready to go. I think we wouldn't be shocked to see him in the NCAA finals at all.
Yeah, without a doubt. And for anybody that was out there and predicted Pantaleo over Hayes, that wasn't an upset in my mind. Even though Hayes was ranked higher, I was actually going to be surprised if Hayes won that match. I think if you're the Michigan coaching staff, you were chalking that one up when you were projecting your possible wins on the evening. 157 was one that they probably felt pretty strongly that they were going to get.
Yes, 100%. 65, man, Caleb Romero. I mean, Mass is good, but Caleb Romero continues to, not have that breakthrough that I think a lot of Ohio State fans thought he was going to have. I think he looks like an NCAA qualifier, maybe a 1-win guy, which that if you're in Ohio State and you're chasing Penn State, that's a weight class that hurts you. Do you want to talk anything else about that? I think we just keep moving through that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of expectations with Romero being a 4-time state champ. I mean, the athletic ability is there. I mean, there's without a doubt. I mean, he's quick, he's explosive, he's athletic. He was, his pedigree as a multi-sport star, in high school is well documented. But it doesn't seem like he has made those necessary adjustments to compete with the top guys. I mean, I think you're right. I think he's a qualifier. I think he could win a match at the NCAA tournament. But unless he makes a few adjustments, I think to break in and compete and not just compete, but potentially beat some of the top 10 guys. I think that he's still got a ways to go. But being a freshman at 165 in the Big Ten, I mean, that's no
Tough weight
walk.
class. It's
No,
ridiculous weight
no
class.
walk in the park. You're not going to get many weekends off at that weight class, let alone in the Big
Yeah,
Ten.
yeah, it's true. Um, Agreed totally. Okay, 74. I thought Ethan Smith wrestled Miles Amin really well. I think I've said this on this podcast. I think really highly of Miles Amin. I think he's really good. I thought Ethan Smith competed really well. I'm kind of, I don't want to say curious. I feel like Ohio State needs to pick someone and go with it. They've been back and forth between Tashawn and Ethan Smith. I think Ethan Smith had some really good performances. He's had some decent ones. And Keyshawn's kind of the same thing, but I feel like they're getting to that point where they need to pick a starter and they need to go with it.
Yeah, I think just from I don't want to say it's a peace of mind, but just from a confidence level,
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
it seems like the guys, I'm sure the Ohio State staff goes back and forth. Like, who should we put out there? They have two really good
Yeah.
guys, two guys that aren't beating the best guys and probably won't beat the best guys, but they could both. It looks like they could both sneak in there to play slow at the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
But when you're reaching, the end of January, the beginning of February, you kind of want that guy to get some continuity, knowing he's the guy
Yes.
week in and week out what to expect.
And not looking over his shoulder, right? You don't want him looking over his shoulder thinking, shoot, if I have one bad performance, they're going to put the other guy in. That's that's a huge confidence factor
So
that
you
you don't
almost
want to.
I mean, I think as a staff, you need to pull those guys in, whoever it's going to be, and just reassure them, right? It's like, hey,
Yes.
Ethan, you're going to be the guy. Don't worry about it, win or lose. We're all in on you. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about how we're analyzing your performance or what's going into that. We're going all in on you. We've reached a point in the season where we got to make the call, and it's probably not even one of those situations where you want to wrestle them off either. It's more of a gut instinct on
Yeah, you
who
don't want
you
to
think's
wrestle him
going to
off.
perform. Yeah, because that you introduce that dynamic into it. Not only are those guys uncertain about am I the guy, but then they say you add that added anxiety of preparing to wrestle off your teammate. I mean, at this time of the season,
Yes.
that's always really, really difficult. So I
Yeah, I mean,
think,
especially if you're the guy, who's got to go make weight twice in a weekend and compete, and then you got to come back and wrestle him off the next week. Yeah, you don't want that. No wrestle offs. Pick your guy. Let's go. Yeah, and let's figure that out.
Yeah, but
Soon.
if I'm Michigan now, switching over to the Michigan side of things, they were probably a bit disappointed that they only came away. They were probably happy they got the win, and they knew they needed that win if they were going to secure the outcome of the duel. But they were probably hoping if they could have gotten another bonus point in the match, like that was the place to get it. They got it at 33. They got the outcome they thought that they were going to get at 57. But this is probably a match that if they could create some separation or create a little bit of buffer in the dual meet scoring, they were
Sure.
probably hoping that Amin was going to come through a little bit more than he did with just a 3-2 win there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ethan Smith's tough to score on, so I mean, I think Miles maybe is capable of more than this, but I thought Ethan Smith wrestled him really tough. So let's go into Miles Martin, Colin Moore. I think Miles Martin, man, you hit. We don't need to talk about that. He kicked his butt, did what he needed to do. Colin Moore, I think some people were a little disappointed he didn't go get that bonus point for him. Not that it would have made a difference, because it does. At this point, it wouldn't have, right? He would have needed two more, so he would have needed a tech fall or a pin to be able to make a difference in the dual meet.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly, Ben, I think I texted you. I was upset about that one, and I was trying to put myself in the perspective of the Ohio State coaching staff. They needed. He's the number 2 guy in the country. He's a 2-time All-American. He's wrestling an unranked guy, and the duel is coming down. Regardless of if you pin, if you tech, the duel is still coming down to heavyweight. And what can you do as a 2-time All-American ranked second in the country? What do you have to do to give Singletary some freedom to go out and compete at his highest level, but also not only
Yeah.
that, applying some pressure to Mason Parris, where he has to go out and do a little bit more than just win the match. Because
Yeah.
so, if I'm Tom Ryan and the coaching staff, I'm like, hey, there's certain times where you tell your guy before they go out, like, hey, we need a pin, we need a tech. You're a two-time All-American, you're ranked second in the country. The outcome of this duel is really tied to you and what you do. And I didn't necessarily see the urgency from Colin Moore to go out there and compete for his team. Um, my personal opinion, I thought he got satisfied just getting the win and thought that was fine. But in that situation, they needed a pin or a tech to at least put some pressure on Mason Parris, because I think even though Singletary beat Mason Parris in November at an open tournament, the way
Yeah.
he's been wrestling, the way he's been competing, he's like, I got this guy. You know, I
Yep.
just need to win him. I just need to beat him. That's all I need to do.
Yes.
If you could give him a little anxiety, like, oh crap, I can't just beat this guy. I got to go take him down 5 or 6 times to get a major decision. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think he had that added pressure going into heavyweight that you probably wanted him to have if you were the Ohio State coaching staff, because after they just won at 197, you kind of saw it on their face. I know that to me, the coaches on Ohio State's sideline, they were still engaged, they were still into it, but you could kind of see in their mind, like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. I think this duel
Yeah.
weight's about over, going into heavyweight.
Yeah. I totally agree. And then Mason Parris looked good. He's continuing to improve. To your point, Chase Singletary did beat him earlier this year, but Parris is, and I kind of said this earlier with Malik Heinselman. Man, 2 months is a lifetime into a freshman in a college. They could just make so much progress and get so much better. And Mason Parris has. I mean, and even I think about Mason Parris. I watched him in July wrestle Anthony Cassiope at Fargo, and I wasn't even slightly impressed, Matt. He got his butt kicked. It was bad.
He got tapped, didn't he?
Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. And now to think, we're only 7 months later. We're 7 months later right now. I mean, how much better this guy's gotten in 7 months? It's totally impressive.
Yeah, and I think, we talk about a lot of things that go into developing and making jumps and progressions as a freshman, and you can't discount, him in his first varsity match, wearing the maize and blue, knocking off the number one guy in the country. Talk about
Mm-hmm.
getting your college career off to the right start, and what that does from a confidence and belief standpoint about what
Oh yeah.
you're capable of doing. I mean, because that's one of the biggest things out there when people think about young guys making jumps. There's a big difference between thinking what you can do and believing in what you can do. And I'm sure,
Yeah.
Mason
And
Parris,
being confident in what you've done, I think is kind of what you're saying there too.
right?
Not that he thinks he can do it. He did do it.
He
He went
did
out and
it.
beat Amardesi. He whooped Amardesi's butt.
Yeah.
Bad. And Amardesi's a guy who's had tons of success.
Yeah, and that kind of creates a blueprint. Once you go through a 7-minute experience like that and figure out how to execute when it really, really matters against the number one guy in the country, you take not only do you take away the victory, you take away that blueprint that you can lay down to the next 7
Yes.
minutes. Like, this is how
Yeah.
I got to compete in this situation. This is how I have to finish a period. This is how I have to fight to score. When I get minimal opportunities, this is how I have to execute. And so it's like, oh, it's all these things that coach has been talking about, or my teammates have been talking about. This
Yeah.
is how you have to do it, and this is what you need to do. And it's like, oh, I get it now. And
Yeah.
so it's that peace of mind that you have that just really bolsters your confidence.
Absolutely. So, great win by Michigan. We've been talking about that duel. It was a great duel. We've been talking about it for a long time. I want to talk about. And Micic and Pletcher going to this. I want to talk about 133 pounds. 133 pounds is a disaster. I mean, it's either a disaster or glorious, depending on which way you want to slice it, because no one knows what's going to happen. Everybody's beating everybody. I mean, dang, Soriano lost to Fix and DeSanto 2 weeks in a row. DeSanto's lost to Gomez. Fix beats Gomez. Philippi beats Fix. Philippi loses to Corbin Myers. Oh man, I don't know what to say. It's a disaster.
I mean, if you're a fan, you got to love it, right? I mean, it's because there's nothing predictable about this weight class. And when you don't know the outcome before you go into it, that's what you love as a fan. But on the flip side of that, that's what you hate as a coach, right? There's so many variables out there. Like, all right, are we going to get points here? Do I have a guy that's going to be on the podium? Because I'm sure some coaches 2 months ago thought that they had a guy that was going to be in the mix to win it, and they're on the outside looking in, and then vice versa. It's just been so much chaos week in and week out, and so much unpredictability, that from a coaching standpoint, that's what creates anxiety, because you don't really know what you're going to get, and you don't know really, where your guy is truly sitting at. It's almost like
yeah. I mean, when you're counting those points, especially like, not that Penn State is too worried about it, but the next team, it's like Pletcher. Is he a number 4 or is he a number 13? Like, I mean, where is he going to fall? If you're Iowa, what's DeSanto? Is he an NCAA finalist or is he around to 12? And so, as a coach, that's stressful. You know what? I think, Matt, I'm going to say, as a fan, it's kind of even stressful for me. Because I want to know, like, I want to have some tiers. I want to know, like, okay, these 3 or 4 guys are going to compete. These 3 or 4 guys are going to compete. And, at least I have some idea of what it looks like. Here, it's like, we talk about Mickey Philippi looked great in beating Dayton Fix, who's number 2. Or was number 2, probably be a little lower now. But then he loses to Corbin Myers, who's number 13. And I don't know, these guys are just kind of all over the place. Gomez, who's number 9 right now, is beating number 3 DeSanto. It's like, besides Stevan Micic, who he hasn't wrestled that much, everyone out here is taking losses, and it's kind of, I don't know. It's a mixed bag for me. Let's do something fun.
I think the thing that Micic has, though, over all the other guys is Micic has the most experience, right?
Yes.
The other guys are in their first 2 years, and even as accomplished as they are coming out of high school, and some of these guys have already placed and been on the podium, but they're still, like Gomez. He's young. He's got a good pedigree, but he's
did you watch his match versus Fix? Because it was crazy.
It was a phenomenal match again.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And it came down to a position they both wanted to be in, right? Upper body.
Yes.
A place they're both comfortable with.
It was a weird upper body too, because it wasn't it was like off of a scramble from bottom. It was a really weird upper body scenario that they ended up in.
And then Fix came with the inside trip to Gomez's left side, but then finished it on the right side. So traditionally, like, you inside trip with your right leg, taking it over your opponent's left side of the body, and then Fix reversed it and took it over the right side of his body to finish it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Fix just has that. I don't even know what you want to call it. That proprioception, is that the correct word for it? Where he just knows where he's at in space. And it's like he's like, you know what he is? He's like one of those balls where they have it's like a snow globe, but it's got something inside it, and no matter where you turn the ball, the thing on the bottom always stays in the bottom. What are those things called? Do you know what they're called?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what proprioception means.
Proprioception. Let me Google that. I know. I'm pretty sure proprioception. I think I spelled it correctly. Proprioception.
I was going to say
perception or awareness of position and movement of the body.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me read one more definition. Proprioception in the sense of relative position of one's own parts of the body and strength of effort being employed in the movement. It is sometimes described as human sixth sense. Dayton Fix has that. He
The word of
does,
the
for
day.
sure.
The word of the day. You know,
Proprioception.
proprioception.
Proprioception. Yeah. Dayton Fix got it, man. He's good.
Got that in
Yeah.
spades.
That was an awesome match. So hey, let's do a fun exercise here.
Okay.
Nate, pick your top three NCAA tournament top three.
I'm gonna go.
And I realize this is really tough without you knowing what the seeds going in NCAAs are going to be.
I'll say Micic 1.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say Fix 2, Suriano 3.
Okay.
So
obviously,
safe. Does that seem?
That's fine. Safe? Hey, listen. Sometimes safe is right.
I mean, almost right now. I mean, there's so much chaos within this weight class. It's like,
you don't know where the seeds are going to be.
Yeah, like who seems most of a sure thing? Because outside of like right now, I feel like Micic is firmly established in the top 4, and I think he's probably right now a guy.
But then you go, but listen, okay, I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in your plan. Micic's had down performances. Remember at Vegas 2 years ago when he got beat by Luke Pletcher and got his butt kicked by Austin DeSanto?
Yeah, true.
You know, so Micic's been up and down. He's really up right now, but he has been up and down. I mean, he's lost to these guys. Tariq Wilson, another one, great NCAA tournament, and then he just has a bunch of losses this year. So I'm going to go. You went Micic fixed Suriano, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to go Micic fixed DeSanto. Did I just do that? That was terrible, right? DeSanto's kind of looking good lately, though.
He is. I mean,
yeah.
you got to give it to him.
I'm going to stick with it.
You know, personal bias aside, or any personal feelings about how people feel he competes or his antics on the mat or after a match, or if he's
I'm kind of whatever on him. As long as you realize he's mentally unstable and you don't know what you're going to get, you're going to be good with him.
Okay, so let's try another exercise. So we've
okay.
Looking at the rankings, you said pick the top 3. We both picked the top 3. We just changed the order. If you had a flyer, some guy that out of these top 20 guys, a guy that's going to catch fire, much like Tariq Wilson did last year.
Oh.
Who's that? Who's your flyer at 133?
I think that's much more difficult in this weight class because they're so good. I mean, I think if you had to pick one, I think it's obvious for me. I think that one guy is Roman Bravo Young because he's all the way down there at 15 still, where he kind of comes out of nowhere. But I also said he was going to be an NCAA finalist this year, so I don't know that. I don't feel like that's coming out of nowhere. But I think this is, and now I'm thinking that was a stupid choice, especially considering this recent injury. I'm thinking that was a stupid statement on my part.
I think the next month with Roman Bravo Young, I think we'll have more to talk about. I mean, if we revisit him in a month from now and to see where he's at, I still don't think that's a bad pick, Ben. I still think he's got the tools. He's got the talent. If he's healthy and excited come March,
yeah.
I mean, he's got the tools to make a run.
Yeah, I mean, he does, but he hasn't proven he can do it yet, which is that's a huge thing, right? He's got to actually prove that he can do it, and he hasn't done it. And he's injured. And man, we're almost to February. We're almost to February, Matt. True. So he does not have much time left. Obviously, with him now being out a bunch of dual meets, he's going to get a terrible seed at Big Tens. And if you look at, hey, he's got a terrible seed at Big Tens, he's going to get, because it's going to be, listen, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be Micic, Suriano, DeSanto, Pletcher, right? And then even 5 is going to be Lezak. So it's like he's going to be below that for sure. He's going to have to win a tough match, probably in round 2, right? I mean, he lost to. Let's see if we keep going on down the list. Ben Thornton, he just lost to him. He had Dylan Duncan, who's solid. So it's like, man, he's gonna have really hard match in round 1 or in the quarterfinals. And if he hasn't been training, not healthy, man, that's a tough road to hoe.
I would probably, if he has a non-Big Ten opponent in round 2 of the NCAA tournament, if I'm Penn State's coaching staff, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances.
Oh, I was talking about at the Big Ten tournament, Matt.
At the Big Ten. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
was
his
talking about
second round. I mean, his most likely at the Big Ten tournament, his first round matchup is going to be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it is. It's gonna be someone. Hello?
Yeah, I was just going through like where he would possibly be seated, even at
he's gonna be 7 or 8 probably.
Yeah, 7 or 8. So he's looking at,
Micic or Soriano.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a freaking tough draw. And really, when we go number 9 or number 10 isn't going to be a bad wrestler at all.
Yeah.
Number 9 or number 10. It's going to be someone tough.
Round 1. Yeah, he's going to be have to be ready to go.
Absolutely.
Who are the guys like of the guys like we spend a lot of time talking about those obvious guys, Micic, Fix, DeSanto, Soriano, Philippi, Pletcher, all those guys. What about the rest? Is there a guy of the rest of those top 20? No.
I think, if you want to pick someone like that's going to have a Tariq Wilson-like performance or, Kyle Cannell-like performance, you're going to go at a weight like 57 where it's a lot weaker, or a 184. Like I could see someone making a breakthrough, or 197. I could see someone having huge breakthroughs at those weights, but 33 that ain't the weight. It just isn't. There's just too many good guys there. I could see it happening.
Even if there's like an upset, there's not going to be a true upset at 133. And so, sometimes when you see guys that we talk about, man, they got hot, they went on a big run. Typically with most of those guys, there was one of those rounds where a gap opened up, where a top ranked guy got beat, and then it's two guys that are seated 12 or 13 or maybe lower than that, and so there's an open space in that round, and they
sneak into the semis.
They leapfrog from that match, get into the semis, and anything can happen in the semifinals at the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here at 33, if one of those guys on paper that might be favored or seated higher, if he gets beat, there's not going to be a big drop off on who fills out that next line in the bracket.
Agreed. So I don't see any sleepers coming through. It's just too tough of a weight class. Hey, last thing, let's hit real quick before we get done. Dave Schultz, numbers were down. We talked about that. Let's talk about the first guy I want to talk about is Aaron Brooks. We kind of talked about him at Midlands. I was really high on him going into Midlands. He didn't look good at all at Midlands. He had that close match with Ben Harvey. He kind of got beat up by Ryan Christensen from Wisconsin, defaulted in the wrestlebacks. Man, he looked good here. He won the 79 kg bracket, beat Nate Jackson, who's really tough in the finals. What do you make of that? Because I feel like that's such a different performance than what we saw at Midlands. I mean, are we really going to say that it's all because it's freestyle, not folk style, or we just think he had a bad performance at Midlands, or what do you want to make out of that?
Well, I mean, there is something to be said. I mean, there is a big difference in how you compete in freestyle and how you compete in folk style. I mean, it seems like even the environments are different. I mean, Dave Schultz is typically, it's not a bad tournament, but it's not that high pressure pack situation like the Midlands is. And so there's a little bit more freedom in how you compete because there's not that added element of pressure and all these eyes on you, like the whole country watching the Midlands and having expectations. I think I said it a month ago about Midlands. He looked like he was prepared to win a low-level open tournament. He didn't look like he
wasn't good, right? It was really bad.
Yeah. to compete
Yes.
at the highest, at the highest level.
Yeah.
But I don't think you necessarily have to have the conditioning or or be battle tested, in freestyle nearly as much as you do in folk style. And I think there's an element of like, he's out at the training center, so he's not getting that folk style parterre experience where you've got to grind it out on top and bottom.
Yeah. So he's not spending any time at all doing folk style right now? What's the exact story?
I'm not sure. I guess
I'm looking.
I get. Yeah, I should. I'm not really
I'm looking for Dave Schultz results right now, so I can see exactly where.
I mean, he rolled. He rolled. I know that. I mean, he looked really.
I saw
really
the match versus Nate Jackson. He looked really good, but I want to see if there's any other matches that we missed. Dave Schultz Memorial. Let's see. I think it doesn't give. So on Floor Arena, I'm going to pick up. They need to give years. Sometimes they just say the tournament, and you don't know what freaking year it was. Okay, this is the wrong year. So then you got to go back and research it. It's so annoying. Sorry, I'm complaining live on air, but Flow's got to get it going. All right, Matt, anything else you want to give us today, or is that it for the weekend? We have some great matches this weekend, obviously.
Yeah, I think we should give a shout out. We just announced the signing of Sarah Hildebrand last week, which seemed very – you couldn't have asked for a better timing of a release to announce a sponsorship of a new active athlete, and for her to come out, perform, and win the Eureka title. Stoked for Sarah. Stoked about her performance. Really excited about, having her on board, what she's about, how she's made up, how she's wired as an athlete, as a competitor. Really excited for her. And I just wanted to make sure we took the opportunity to, formally, publicly welcome her to the team.
Yeah, and Matt, I am going to have her on the podcast sometime.
Yeah,
like I said, I think she gets back today. She gets back today from Russia. So, obviously we'll give her a few. We didn't give you any time to acclimate from China. You just had to deal with it and get on here. We're going to give her some time to acclimate back to the States. And so maybe like a week or 2 weeks, I'm going to try to get her here on the podcast and we'll get to know a little bit more about her.
But yeah, Sarah she's an amazing competitor. She's an amazing personality, an amazing person. And I think the conversation you guys are going to have together, it's going to be really enjoyable for you. And so great job by Sarah over at the Eureka. Great way to start her 2019 campaign.
Absolutely. So, all right, Matt, that's all we got. Last thing, I won't guarantee this, but I think we're going to do some kind of live podcast before the Penn State-Ohio State duel. We're working on all the details, but we're pretty sure at this point that that's going to happen.
We are. So what's the word for that? We're efforting. It's going to happen in some way, shape, or form. We're just trying to work out the details. But hopefully we can do it in a setting that's really conducive and close to the dual meet. And we're going to hopefully be in a setting where we can, attract some of the Ohio State and Penn State faithful before the match and get some interaction with them as well. Absolutely. So that's going to be fun. That'll be our first time doing that. And then we're also going to try to do it for NCAAs. So let's see. We're going to get that lined up also. All right, Matt, have a good day. I will see you later, and we'll catch up next week. All right. Take care, my man.